There's a really good football team in here. Do you believe?
Every win helps, but again, we're taking it one day at a time, one game at a time. But we'll spend very detailed work on self-scout work this week, and but we'll get ahead and try to get a jump on the Bengals, but we've got to get refreshed.
Well, the countdown is on, albeit a much longer countdown to kickoff for the Browns this week. Of course, Cleveland on a bye, coming off of that big win against the Atlanta Falcons last weekend. Welcome into the Browns Countdown, presented by Elk & Elk. I'm News 5 Sports anchor Jon Doss, joined, as always, by a Browns legend, the originator of the dog pound, Hanford Dixon, and one half of the Next Level radio show on ESPN. Cleveland also happened to win 3 Super Bowl championships in Gerard Cherry. And what a fine radio show it is.
Well, thank you, John.
It's one of my favorites.
That's good.
You know this. Man. I'm an avid listener.
Cal Berkeley love
now I'm an avid listener. Guys, these shows, boy, they're a lot more fun after games like we saw last weekend against Atlanta.
I tell you what, it was an exciting game. You know when I knew that we were going to win this ball game? It was in the third quarter. In the third quarter, coming out of the third quarter.
Hold on, which is interesting.
Oh, I was going there.
Because only one of us picked him. Only one of us picked him to win the game.
Well, you know, I was going to say, because when Baker Mayfield drops back to pass, and then you have Reed blow past Robinson and knocks the ball out of Baker's hands, and the ball just pops right back up to Baker, and he gains some yardage. I say, hey, man, this could be our day today.
Yeah, and fate was definitely on our side. I was going to give you a hard time because going into the game.
Oh, I did.
You didn't think so. And if I'm going to be forthright and honest with you, I didn't give us much of a chance, but I'm going to say the right politically correct answer, and probably. So, again, they surprised us all, but it is so refreshing to actually talk about a victory, have something positive to say, as opposed to what went wrong.
Well, I have to let you guys know, too, everywhere I go, I cannot go anywhere in Cleveland without someone coming up to me reminding me what I said about I didn't pick the Browns to win. So.
Well, but you're right. Those are the kind of bounces that don't typically go the Browns' way, that fumble that Baker picked up. And
well, and I was going to say this, not to cut you off, but I remember we were playing an AFC Championship game. We was playing the Denver Broncos, and the same thing happened to Elway. I mean, our guys go in, and they knock the ball out of his hand, and, man, the ball just bounced right back up to him. And I said, we are in trouble this week, today.
It certainly can be deflating for a defense when you make a play like that, and it still doesn't go your way. It can also be deflating for a defense when Nick Chubb runs all over you, and what a day the rookie running back had.
And the thing about it is, 4.5, 240 speed, that doesn't suggest that he's going to run away from DBs and go 80, 90 yards plus on runs. But Nick Chubb has shown you that you can be a big back and he can take it to the house like an Adrian Peterson, Chris Johnson type. We haven't seen this, and as you watch this run unfold, watch what he's doing. He is pulling away from guys, and some of those are receivers and DBs, so that is very impressive, his ability to take it to the house on a long-distance run.
Hanford, a guy that thick should not be able to pull away from the defense, especially that deep into a run.
Guys, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know or you don't see with your own eyes. This guy is unbelievable. This guy is going to be something special. This guy is a running back that you can't arm tackle. You have to get in there. You have to wrap him up, because if you don't, he can get away. And like you said, he could take it to the house. Big, powerful back. Pretty much every time Nick Chubb touches the ball, he is going to get maybe 2 or 3 yards. But when you look at him, I think there was only one guy that had more yards than he did in college on that college team, and that guy was Herschel Walker.
Right, and so he's setting records at Georgia, and Todd Gurley went there. And think about it, he shared time with Michelle. So if he didn't do that, he probably would have broke the records. But the other part of that, too, is this. With his ability to take it to the house 80, 90 yards plus, that's going to open up this defense more so in a lot of offense to have opportunities to pass the ball more, because they're going to have to worry and take that into compensation of, hey, this guy can take it, so we're going to put more men in the box.
Well, you know what? And you have to, I mean, he's such a likable guy. I mean, you're talking about a guy who just goes about his business, doesn't bother anybody. I mean, he knows what he's in here for, and he's a great person. He's a great running back, but even better person.
Yeah, the Falcons may disagree with you on that. They probably don't like him. When you talk about young stardom and potential stars here for a long time, you look at Nick Chubb, but you also got to look at the quarterback, Baker Mayfield, who by far had the best start of his career. He was perfect in the first half. He finished with a passer rating above 150 with 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, we talk about bouncing back, because for the past 4 to 5 weeks, Baker Mayfield's been under fire. A lot of people saying he's regressed, he's not playing that well. But what you saw in this game, 12 straight completions, and these weren't rudimentary throws. This throw right here speaks volumes of his ability. I call that the Brett Favre example of why the comparisons were made. On the roll, throws an accurate ball to the end zone and puts the position, the receiver that is, in a position where he can succeed. Very impressed with what I saw to Baker Mayfield, and you definitely, in my mind, have your quarterback of the future.
Guys, I think under Kitchen, he has finally figured it out. Baker has finally figured out. What I mean by that is he's getting the ball out really quick now, and that's taken a lot of stress off the offensive lineman. In this ball game, I don't think we gave up a sack, but Baker has realized that he has a lot of weapons, and he's figured out he's not when it's not there downfield, he's going to dump it off to Duke. He's got a weapon there, and he can dump it off to Chubbs.
The Browns go from being a team that has allowed more sacks in the NFL than any other team to under Freddie Kitchens. Last week, they didn't give up a single sack. They were the only team in the NFL this year that went through an entire game without giving a sack. And you look at Baker Mayfield, not just the completion numbers, but he hit 9 different receivers in that ball game. How much of this is a product of the new regime with Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens?
It's a product of it. Let's call it for what it's worth. Let's give these guys their just due. You had dysfunction at a high level taking place because you had it between the former head coach and offensive coordinator, that being Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley. You're now in a situation where Greg Williams is not trying to supplant Kitchens, and Kitchens is not trying to supplant Williams. So you have harmony there. It's hard enough to beat the team. Just imagine what it's like when you have infighting. So yes, that plays a pivotal role in it, and you got to like the fact that Greg Williams is a fiery individual, and his team is taking on that personality.
Well, you got to, and no doubt about it, you got to give him some credit because he's also cut down on the penalties with this football team. And Kitchens, I mean, I just laugh sometimes, and you guys wonder why I'm laughing over here because did I see him look like they were in the wishbone?
You saw the wishbone.
Oh, sometimes
I thought he was joking about it when he talked about it earlier in the week, but he wasn't. You saw it a handful of times.
And it was confusing them a little bit, but it's just awesome to see.
Innovation, and to Gerard's point, you really do get the sense Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens, these are two guys that really just want to win. That's what it's about. It's not one guy stepping over the other. They just want to win. Now, will they factor into the ultimate coaching search this offseason? They'll probably play some part in it. But we hear from Jon Dorsey now with our Nathan Segura about what that coaching search might look like come the offseason.
Now, obviously, there was a big change in the middle of this season. Greg Williams now your head coach, Freddie Kitchens now your offensive coordinator. Kind of what led you to that decision point, and how comfortable are you with what you've seen in 2 weeks with your new staff?
Well, first, I think regarding the last 2 weeks, I think Greg's done a really nice job, and he's done a really nice job of keeping the team focused on the sole task of winning, and I think that's really important. I think Freddie Kitchens has done a really nice job in terms of creating a game plan and executing it on game day. And I'd almost be amiss if I didn't, at least recognize Blake Williams here for his extended duties that the interim head coach has thrust upon him, and he's done a really nice job here. And so, all in all, I think the team has. They've kind of come together here a little bit these last 2 weeks, but all in all, I think those 3 guys have done a really nice job.
Absolutely, and I do want to ask, what are the most important characteristics in your mind for a potential head coaching candidate for the Cleveland Browns?
I mean, it's a man of character. It's a man. It's a man of leaderships. High football acumen. Those are the 3 basic traits that you would look for, but I think the character component is big in my book.
How important is the offensive system that they will bring, and where Baker Mayfield fits into that system in terms of determining your pecking order for these candidates?
Well, I think that's why you go through the interview process, to kind of see the deep knowledge that each one of these potential head coaches may have and who their staffs will be. I mean, that's what you look at here. Could be an offensive guy, could be a defensive guy. Does he lead men? That's what you look for.
It's going to be an offensive guy, right? You look at the future. You look at the future of this franchise. You look at Baker Mayfield. You look at Nick Chubb. Yes, there are talented young stars on the defensive side of the field too. And look, Greg Williams is a defensive guy, and that has worked so far for them really over the course of the last 2 games. But you got to think whoever you bring in's got to pair well with Baker. I mean, that's going to be the important thing.
That's the given. You have to have that head coach-quarterback relationship, because that's the most important relationship on a football team. So certainly that's of the utmost importance.
I don't care what you got. It could be a defensive
I'm with you there.
too.
It
I
could
mean,
be. Defensive guys say it could be defensive guys.
You know, you guys. I mean, you offensive guys. Well, not you, dog.
Yeah,
I just say, you know where I'm headed over here.
You know what may be most impressive about what the Browns were able to do against Atlanta, and really Baker Mayfield, he had all those different receivers, but they had that offensive success with very minimal production from Jarvis Landry and David Njoku.
You know what, that all comes from being able to run the football.
Exactly.
When you're able to run the football, it just opens everything up for Baker Mayfield. And then, guys, I tell you what, you guys have heard me talk about Higgins. I'm telling you, before he went down, he was a guy, and I know you guys saw it too, he was a guy that was really very productive. And you can see it now. You can see it in the stride. You can see it in the step. Yeah. And when you see a guy like Higgins, Callaway starts to watch that, and he said, hey, don't forget about me. I can play too.
Exactly, and though Hollywood only had one catch, and that's Higgins, it was a key catch because it was a touchdown.
Catch, yeah.
But what it does is it forces the defense now to pay attention to him as well. And we're talking about the fact that our two leading receivers, that being Landry and Njoku, did not receive that many receptions. But as you just said, Hanford, you run for 176 yards in Nick Chubb, and you get some action from Duke Johnson. You don't need to have prolific numbers from the other guys. You simply don't.
But see, your point is good because, see, here's what's going to happen. Now that you see that Higgins is starting to make a play, you see Callaway is starting to make a play, now all of a sudden, here come Landry. Yeah. Boom! Hit him.
You had me at your point was good. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Time now for a Browns Hot Minute presented by Sugardale.
And we are ready to go. The Falcons at 4-4, winners of 3 in a row. The Browns 2-6-1. And here we go at a sunny First Energy Stadium.
But when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Care to expand on that?
I just woke up feeling real dangerous.
Thought Baker played well, ran the team well, ran the clock well, did a good job there.
I remember running through and seeing just the safety left, and after that I seen Callaway blocking the corner, which he's doing a tremendous job of that. He always does. And after that, I mean, it was wide open to the house.
I think the last couple of weeks left a sour taste in the whole team, and especially the defense's mouths. So it was just kind of a ramped-up attitude this week in practice. Going into the bye week, we knew if we could get a win right here, we could set ourselves up for something good coming back.
Cleveland's Cleveland's a T-shirt town, right? And you knew as soon as Baker Mayfield said he woke up feeling dangerous, that was going to be on a number of T-shirts within a couple of days, and it already is.
It should be, man. That's
I expect to see you guys. I expect to see one of you guys rocking it next week.
Well, you know what's funny? I see, and I just saw this the last game. I see some of the people in the stands. They have the little bakery hat, like a like a baker or something. It's pretty interesting.
That's the charisma.
But here's thank you, the charisma, the swag appeal. All those things matter when you're trying to be a leader of men. Yeah. And he has that appeal. It's mass, and that's one of the reasons why you know that this guy will have the gift to lead this football team, because you look at those things. To say that just off the top of his head, I woke up this morning feeling dangerously. Guys are going to relate to that and respect that and appreciate it.
It's the difference between a potential good quarterback and a potential superstar. And speaking of swagger, we're going to go into the film room when we come back with Bernie Kosar and Dustin Fox. That's coming up next on the Browns Countdown, presented by Elkin Out.
Welcome inside the film room. I'm Dustin Fox, alongside legendary Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar. Bernie, the Browns head into the bye week, feeling pretty good about themselves. A huge win, arguably the most complete game I think I've seen the Browns play in about 8 years. It was a phenomenal performance by the Browns. They beat the Falcons 28-16.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I want to probably temper my enthusiasm a little bit, but that being said, I can't disagree with anything you said. And here you'll see in our first play with Baker Mayfield on the touchdown throw, you heard what Coach Williams said before this game about telling Baker, don't be afraid of making mistakes, let's run the ball, let's be physical, but when you throw it, don't be afraid to go down the field, be aggressive. And you see from the beginning, Jarvis Landry coming across here, Baker Mayfield sees, he's got man coverage with the Falcons, bringing the DB across, and the safety this deep. With man coverage, Jarvis Landry coming across the field is the #1 target and the #1 read. And this is not designed to be a rollout right, but pressure gets to Baker. Now he's just in game mode, street mode, trying to adjust. Baker is not playing at all like a rookie.
I just love how he senses the pressure and just uses his athleticism to roll out to the right. And you said it's not designed to do that at all, but his ability to throw on the move.
This is a nightmare for this play. Just about most of us QBs, we're going to be sacked here.
Absolutely.
I know I would be. Live to fight another day. He has the athleticism and the presence to make this move to the right. We've talked throughout the season, if you're an opposing defense, you do not want Baker Mayfield scrambling to your right like this. He has great arm talent. And then for Higgins to go up and get it, catching the football at its highest point, doesn't even give the DB a chance to get it. 2 hands, rip it in your stomach. It's just well done on every point.
So a couple weeks back, Bernie, when the Browns decided to trade Carlos Hyde because they wanted to get Nick Chubb more involved, it seems to have paid off. Nick Chubb in this game, 20 carries, 176 yards, and this play is the longest rush in Browns history.
You know, it's interesting that the balance between winning games, short run, and then the long-term horizon that you sometimes have to have. Definitely in the long run, it's paying off dividends for Nick Chubb. And you can see on this play here, you know, to be backed up here on the 8-yard line. Look at the Falcons defense again. Same defense as the previous play.
Stacked to the strong side, and they run to the weak side.
So you're having the man press coverage again with the weak safety. Offensive line does a phenomenal job. Look at this hard reach down to your right.
You see what happens here? So this nose tackle right here, Bernie, once he crosses face, you're now going to have 3-on-3, right? Center, guard, tackle on 1, 2, 3 guys, and then that's blocked up perfectly. So this guy takes himself out of the play.
This is textbook getting up into the second level. Look at our center. Get up onto the middle linebacker. Nick Chubb again. Showing his patience. He keeps his shoulders, look at square to the line of scrimmage, and then the first sight of daylight, you hit it right up in there. And then for a guy to be 220 pounds, and have this speed and this athleticism, to be able to take it to the house like that.
So probably the best offensive performance we've seen. Baker was efficient, the running game got going. Gotta love what you saw there.
Absolutely well said. I think the best performance by the offense, not just from Baker and Nick Chubb, but from start to finish. We've been using the victim or beneficiary, the guys around us, statement throughout the course of the year. This time, everybody played up to their ability, and it's fun to watch when everybody just does their job.
It is a lot of fun to watch. Let's see if the Browns can build off of that as they head into the bye week and face the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati next week.
Yeah, the bye week comes at a really good time. I look at the number of key contributors on this team that are dealing with some nagging injuries. Joe Schobert with the hamstring, of course, returned against the Falcons after missing a couple of ball games. Denzel Ward, a little bit lame with the hip. Demarius Randall with a groin. J.C. Treader with the ankle. And David Njoku, we talked about that he didn't make a huge impact on that game against the Falcons. Well, the guy's also dealing with knee and rib injuries. So, guys, I pose this question to you. This is a late bye week. This is week 10 that the Browns had to wait for their bye week. But it comes at a really good time, given you got a lot of guys that are banged up.
Well, you didn't mention one guy, Anthony Zettel.
Yeah.
I mean, let me tell you something. I watched him throughout this entire ball game. I thought he had an outstanding ball game. Did you see when he just blew through the line and made the tackle in the backfield, and also he came up with the big sack in the ball game? I thought he was one key factor in this ball. I mean, obviously there was other guys on the defensive line, but I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, and he'll earn some rest as well. But the key thing about these late week buys is that if you lose this game, it is a detriment, because chances are you're going to get in what we call vacation mode, in that you start counting down the practices, how much time is left with each individual drill and all those things. But by them winning, it gives you hope that these guys have galvanized themselves and are ready to take it to another step and try to win the next 6 games.
And you just need to get away from it for a while. Just get away, like you said, go somewhere warm.
Don't get too comfortable.
No. Still remember, you have 6 games to play.
Well, the good news is, you're right. You let this win now linger for the next 2 weeks, rather than a potential loss that we might have expected coming against a really good offense in Atlanta. But you win that game. Now you get to savor that for 2 weeks, and so do we. Coming up in the show, we're going to talk now the AFC North. That is next to the Browns Countdown, presented by Elk & Elk.
Second down and 10, takes the snap, gives it. Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Shabba-lubba hub! 92 yards!
Pretty unbelievable. He has a second gear. I just got hit more by you than I did in my 14 years in the NFL.
I'd listened to that call before, but I did not catch the end of that, where he said I just got hit by you more times than I did in my 14-year career. Did you hear the Spanish version of that call, by the way?
Yes, I did.
That was spectacular as well, that Nick Chubb touchdown. All right, let's go around the AFC North. The Browns, of course, on the bye week this week. Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. These are two teams going in two different directions. Pittsburgh has won 5 in a row. Jacksonville has lost 5 in a row.
There's no question about it. Pittsburgh is playing extremely well. They're playing like a team right now that's getting ready for the playoffs. Obviously, I know there's a few games to go, but their team right now, offensively and defensively, are really, really strong.
And Jacksonville basically have allowed
what has happened to that defense?
Simple. Well, the defense is blaming the offense for their woes, and they haven't recovered from it. So that's a split locker room. And when you have a split locker room, and Pittsburgh experienced it early on in the season, it's hard to win football games.
Well, you know, at the beginning of the season, how everybody was picking Jacksonville.
Right.
Their
they made the AFC title game
coming
last
off
year,
of what they did last year, everybody thought they were going to have a much better team, but boy, they've gone in the opposite direction.
Yeah, if they lose this game, they might be in vacation mode, right, Gerard? Let's take a look. Cincinnati at Baltimore. These are two AFC North teams. The Bengals 5-4, Ravens 4-5. This is kind of gut check time for both these teams.
Well, especially the Ravens. I mean, you're talking about a football team that have lost 3 straight, a team that started off really, really strong. And everybody thought they were going to compete for the AFC North. Just haven't happened. But the Bengals, I mean, who knows? They're up and down.
Well, they were definitely down last week because they had a dome team, and that being the New Orleans Saints, which is probably the best team in the National Football League right now, come there and beat them down.
You know what we want? We want these two teams to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
Go ahead and beat up on each other, especially the Ravens beat up on the Bengals, because that's who we have coming off the bye.
That's who they're going to play next week, coming off the bye, and they still going to play Cincinnati twice, and then, of course, they wrap up the regular season with Baltimore. So let's look ahead for the rest of the season against the Cincinnati team. That's a matchup next week that if you would have looked at it 2-3 weeks ago, you'd say, well, Cincinnati clearly has the upper hand in Cincy against the Browns team that wasn't very good. Now you fast forward, the Browns beat this Falcons team, and we're feeling like anything's possible now.
For sure. A.J. Green's on the mend, so if he doesn't play, that's going to definitely help the cause. But obviously the biggest story of the whole situation is the fact that you have Hugh Jackson now in the building for Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
And that is an advantage to a degree.
Oh, yeah, we hadn't mentioned that yet. Hugh Jackson now the special assistant to Marvin.
Well, what do you guys think, though, looking at these 3 games? These are 3 games I think are very winnable for our football team.
Sure.
I mean, I definitely think we could beat the Bengals. I mean, Houston, that one, I'm pretty sure we can. But who knows what Carolina team is going to show up when we play them.
Well, see, that's kind of the tough thing. Now, you look at this Houston game that's coming up, of course, next week, right, after that Bengals game. But, well, I guess the week after next. Yeah, they should be able to beat a team like Houston. You think that the Browns have the firepower, though. Houston, a really good team on a 5-game win streak, but it's also a road game for the Browns, which we know they have not won in a few years.
And that's the next part of the maturation of the team as a whole. Winning on the road, because we're doing it at home, but can you take it off the premises of First Energy and apply the same type of production you got today?
But I would feel a lot better if we were playing them at home. I would feel a lot better. I still think we can beat them, but I would feel a lot better if we were playing them at home.
Well, the team they're going to play at home after Houston, of course, is Carolina. And Carolina's a team that's going to challenge in the AFC. The Panthers perhaps present the toughest test left on what has been a really difficult Brown schedule.
But did you guys see Cam when they played the Pittsburgh Steelers after that game? Did you see him in
the outfit or what he had to say?
Well, both. I mean, both. I mean, he was just like, whoa, we ran into a buzzsaw. Yeah. But again, a game I think we can win.
Yeah, if you, I said I didn't think they would beat Atlanta, and you consider how hot Atlanta was and what they were able to do to that football team. I think this team has a chance in any game they play.
Now, Carolina will have a better defense in here than Atlanta did. That's kind of the thing we're overlooking a little bit. The Browns' offense played really well, but they were playing against a really bad defense. Now, they played against Tampa Bay a few weeks ago, and they didn't play as well, and that was maybe the worst defense in the NFL. So, bad defense or not, the Browns took care of business.
Right, and you hit on a key point, bad defense. A lot of those play calls, by design, took advantage of the fact that you were going against a bad defense because a lot of situations, Baker had time. We said no sacks. When was the last time we said that in a football game for this offense?
Guys, I'm a firm believer. If we play the way we played this last game, we could beat anybody. We could beat anybody.
Well, the good news is
this team was ready to play.
Yes.
The good news is they still got 5 or 6 games left. Are the playoffs out of the question? We'll talk about that coming up next on the Browns Countdown, presented by Elkin.
And the Browns beat the Falcons. The final score today, the Browns 28 and the Falcons 16.
Yes. There's a really good football team in here. Do you believe? Listen to me. All players, all coaches, you get a game ball. And I want on there, believe. Make sure when we get that right. We need this team. Nobody the entire week. We stay in it. We continue to get ready. We need some time right now to collect ourselves. We got to believe in the people in this room. Okay? Yeah. Any questions about that? Yes, sir. Break us down, Horace. Here we go. Oh. Hey, family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, welcome back into the Browns Countdown. Jon Doss, Gerard Cherry, Hanford Dixon, and all locker room speeches sound better when you win. But Greg Williams is pretty good at those.
Oh, yeah, he got the gift of the gab, man. No doubt about it.
Hey, I was surprised he was able to stand up some of those hits he took. You know, I mean, they were coming at him. Those pretty big guys.
That's what happens when you tell the guys after a big win that they get the whole week off.
I like what he said, though. Everybody's going to get a game ball, and then the most important thing they're going to put on it believe.
Right.
That's important. Let's take a look at the rest of the games. So we talked about the next 3 games. Let's take a look at the last 3 games of the season. You talk about another game on the road at Denver in Week 15, a Denver team that the Browns really could and should beat, but again, it's another road game.
Well, the only thing that really, whenever I think of Denver, I think of Von Miller. I mean, you're talking about a guy right now, I think he's got 9 sacks, but he puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And that defense is playing extremely well. But again, a game I think we can win, but I wish we were playing them here in Cleveland.
Yeah, and they have their own Chubb, the rookie, who's doing well. Yeah. A lot of people thought we were going to take him in the draft and end up going with Ward instead.
The Browns are pretty happy about it.
Oh, they have to be ecstatic about it. They made the right decision, and ultimately you're getting production from our rookies, but Denver is a very challenging place to play, and you've experienced it. Obviously, Hanford, it's historical what you went through there. Woo. But just that elevation and acclimating to that is a challenge. So, again, it's going to be a tough game anytime you play there. I don't care how good the team is.
When you look at the difficulty of the schedule, it's not just the difficulty of the teams you're playing, but even the teams that Cleveland should beat, they're road games. Right? And you look at that the whole season. Tampa Bay, and you talk about Denver, and obviously Houston.
Well, and see what's going to really come down to it when you're playing some of these teams toward the end of the year, especially, and you know as well as I do, if a team has got any chance of being in the playoffs, they're going to be really hyped and really ready to go. So it's going to make it a little bit hard for us.
Well, that's interesting because depending on what we see next week against Cincinnati, right, the Bengals could be one of those teams that are in the hunt for an AFC wild card, and Cleveland gets to host Cincinnati here in Week 16.
Yeah, and the one thing you don't want to have happen is watch a clip of Hugh Jackson breaking out after a victory and having Marv bring him up to say, break us out, Hugh, against the Cleveland Browns, because I'm sure that's what they're planning. So you don't want that to take place, so do your part. So it's going to be very interesting next week to see how this unfolds. But I'm looking forward to it because, again, Hugh was the person inside the building. He was the Manchurian candidate in my mind, and so we'll see what takes place next weekend with him because I'm looking forward to seeing how the Browns react to him being on the other sideline.
If there's 2 games I want us to win, it's the Cincinnati Bengals because just like you said, I do not want to see his face over there with the little, I just get bad thinking about it.
Well, I'm sure you wouldn't mind seeing him win Week 17, the regular season finale, on the road to Baltimore, too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind that.
You better believe it.
For personal reasons.
Hey, AFC North, beat any of those teams in the AFC North.
Right, because it's about closing the gap, and that's what you want to do. You want to take control of your division. And if you can come out of this division with just 1 loss, that's huge.
And you know, Baltimore right now, in their mindset, they still think that they have a possibility to make a run at this thing, too. So you're right. Let's play the spoiler.
Yeah, well, they're out of their minds if they think that's the case because Baltimore has no shot.
Right.
3-6-1 of the Browns.
Right.
They're not technically out of the picture. And when you look at an AFC that is up for grabs, hold on. I know Hanford's already ready to, what are you talking about? When you look at an AFC picture that's up for grabs, what if the Browns reeled off 5 of the last 6? I know that it's out there and it's probably not going to happen, but what if they put it together and did that?
Well, the biggest question you're going to have from that is, should Greg Williams be your head coach now?
Well,
that's going to be the conversation you're going to have from that, because likely that won't make it in the playoffs unless the Steelers were to lose and you won all your division games. But that's going to be your biggest conversation. Who should be the head coach?
And even bigger than wins and losses and playoff picture, you got a lot of young guys on this team that are really key contributors both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. The rest of this season is big for momentum going forward with guys like Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb.
Well, I agree with, I think this football team is going to be a very attractive job for someone.
No doubt.
So whoever, you know, this is not going to be one of those jobs anymore that everyone or potential head coaches will shy away from. This is a good football team, and you guys talked about it. When you talked about, you look at Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Njoku, Callaway, just the name on offense, and I'll let you talk about that defense, some of these guys. It's unbelievable.
Right, you got one of the possible premier pass rushers in Garrett. Njoku's come along. You got Ogba doing what he's doing. So just think about Ward and the fact that he may be an all-time great the way he's played and the transition he's made. But what I'm looking at is that young nucleus and that core, and I'm saying to myself, if I'm a head coach, not only can I build around that, I know I'm going to have a really good young quarterback under contract for 4 or 5 years, so that's going to allow me to bring in high-priced free agents and not worry about what it's going to do to the salary cap.
But guys, can you believe Joe Shorbert? This is his 3rd year. I mean, I'm thinking this guy is maybe like a 6 or 7 year vet. Only his 3rd season.
He plays like it and he acts like it, and that's a big reason why the Browns had success against Atlanta. That Joe Shorbert returned, especially with Christian Kirksey out. Coming up next on the Browns Countdown, we go inside our stats and facts. That's next to the Browns Countdown, presented by Alcanel.
First and goal at the 6. Ryan bootlegs out, near side right, throws at the 5-yard line, and Hooper got submarined at the 5. Here's Ryan, takes the snap, gives it, Coleman runs, hits at the 2, and he got knocked down short of the goal line by Jabril Peppers inside the 1-yard line. He was ready to go in, and Peppers came flying through and knocked him back. 3rd down and goal. He takes the snap and hands the ball off to Coleman left side, and he's not in yet. Now down to 11:45 left to go in the game. It's 4th down and a couple of inches for a touchdown. 4th down. Ryan takes the snap, back to pass, pulls it down, throws, and they missed in the back of the end zone. Songbird in the back of the end zone, can't come up with it, and the Browns defense holds, and the stadium rocking again.
Yeah, that was perhaps the biggest series in that upset win against the Atlanta Falcons, the 4-down stand. Let's now get into our stats and facts presented by FanDuel. We've already mentioned it a few times, that Nick Chubb 92-yard touchdown run. Did you know, if we take a look at the video here, it's the longest rushing play in Cleveland Browns history, the 92 yards, and it beats Bobby Mitchell's 90-yard touchdown run against Washington in 1959. Chubb's 176 career rushing yards in the game against Atlanta, the 5th most rushing yards by a Browns rookie in a single game. Guess who holds the record? Jim Brown holds that record with 237 rushing yards against the L.A. Rams in 1957. Let's go to number 3. Baker Mayfield's 3 touchdowns against Atlanta tied a Browns record for most TD passes by a rookie in a game. He joins Tim Couch, Deshaun Kaiser, and Bernie Kosar as the only rookie Brown QBs to ever do that. And number 4 on the list with only 7 career starts, Mayfield's 13 passing touchdowns, 3rd most by a Browns rookie. Tim Couch had 15, Brandon Weeden 14, and his 1,984 passing yards, 4th most in Browns franchise history by a rookie. And you hear those names, and it's actually kind of surprising that 13 touchdown passes, 3rd most by a Browns rookie in franchise history, and that's only through 7 career starts for Baker Mayfield.
Baker was very accurate during the ball game. I mean, very accurate. 17 of 20. I mean, this guy, I mean, it was just unbelievable. But again, he figured it out now. He's taking only what the defense is giving him. But when you talked about those running back, I was going to say, hold on. You got to be kidding me. You're going to tell me Jim Brown or Bobby Mitchell?
And we're talking about Chubb in the same breath.
Very impressive.
Right. And when I hear those Baker Mayfield numbers, what I say to myself is he's going to shatter those records. Got 6 games remaining. The way this offense is passing, so I figure he'll be the leader in the record books for the Browns in regards to rookie passing numbers. And he should be, because a young man, I don't want to call him a kid for some reason, but the young man is playing at a high level, and I see him continuing it under this offensive coordination of Kinchin.
Hey, guys, I think we're all smiling because I think we found a quarterback.
Oh, I think so.
And you know what's sad?
Yeah.
If we didn't have this infighting, where would we be right now?
Yeah.
Really?
Think about it.
The infighting you're talking about with Todd Haley.
Yes, think about it.
Yeah, hey, the kid can play. Coming up next on the Browns Countdown, we're going to talk, we're going to go back into the film room with Bernie Kosar.
Welcome inside the film room. I'm Dustin Fox, alongside Bernie Kosar. Bernie's the bye week, and the Browns are fresh off a huge victory over the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to talk some defense here In fact, we're just going to go back to that game in the fourth quarter and watch the goal line stand, because it was an absolute beauty to see Greg Williams and these guys fly around.
Look what we have here. We have the fourth quarter. We have 13:46 to go. The Browns were up 18, but it's still with the whole basic quarter to go. The Falcons have first and goal at the 6-yard line.
First and goal at the 6. I'm thinking run, right? No, the Falcons are going to go a little play action pass.
Our defense here, you could see, look at the discipline. Look at them. They don't go with the play fake, which is a poor play fake. Look at how the offensive line for the Falcons stands up at the snap. That is not a run action. Our defense does an excellent job. Nobody, look at the back 7. Nobody bites on the fake. So Collins makes the cut here, and you see Joe Schobert making, with his speed, discipline, coming over, wrapping up. Now, look, we have 2nd and 5 now. This tends to be a throwing down, but because the Falcons threw on first down, this tends to be a running play, which the Falcons don't let us down. They do. This is a well-blocked play.
This should be a touchdown.
Marty Schottenheimer used to talk a ton about this, the old coach for the Browns, about you have to make it worth their while to get into that end zone. You can never give them an easy touchdown. And Peppers, I love the aggressiveness he shows here.
He saves the touchdown.
He saves the touchdown. You got Joe Schobert filling the hole, getting the back off balance.
Yeah, this is a big-time hit here. A lot of players, as you see Peppers come in here at the end of this run, would just lay off. They'd be like,
exactly.
He's going to score. You're going to accept it. And Pepper says, no way.
Not only does Pepper say no way, the whole defense says no way, and that's the mindset.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that you want to see on a winning football team.
Absolutely. Love that. 3rd and inches.
3rd and inches. Everybody knows this should be a running play. Don't exactly like the lack of physicalness at the back for Atlanta.
He's coming in there. He's tippy-toeing in the hole.
Look at Joe Schobert. He knows they're running. He's selling out forward. The pride it takes to stop somebody this close. Group tackling, well done. Team defense.
Joe Schobert has something to do with nearly every play on this series.
When you can get an NFL team on 4th and a couple inches to be so intimidated, they know they can't run the ball, that they have to trick you into the end zone, you know you're a heck of a defense right here. Look at Joe's communication.
He's saying combo, combo, combo.
They're playing
what he means by that is, if this guy goes out, take the guy back to the flat, and then all of a sudden Schobert will play over top and take the tight end.
Joe Schobert has just gotten so much better. Look at how sound and fundamental he is. Look at Joe using his hands. As long as you don't overextend your arms, you can get away with that. You can get a little bit. Well done.
Goal line stand.
Shows a lot of heart.
Yeah, you love to see that from the defense. And I think this team has taken on a little bit of that Greg Williams identity. Not just the defense, but the entire team. They seem to be playing a little bit more loose, having a little bit more fun.
Absolutely concur with you. The team is definitely taking on Greg's personality, and it's bringing up W's.
And that's stuff you can build on as the Browns head to the bye week. And they come back to face the Cincinnati Bengals in a week. He's Bernie Kosar. I'm Dustin Fox. We'll see you next time.
All right, of all the guys that we're hoping get fully healthy during this bye week, Joe Schobert's one of them. He's dealing with that hamstring injury. He was out, he missed 3 games before returning against the Atlanta Falcons and played a big game against them. And that's a guy that you're hoping can get healthy during the week off.
You know what? He's so smart, too. I just like watching him, just making sure everybody's in the right place. Like I called him the quarterback on defense. Look at this play. I mean, he'll just get in there, stick his head in, and keep him from making the first down. We really missed him.
Yeah, the key part of it all is that he had no fall off coming back from that injury. So yes, please heal up and do the more so what you did this past weekend, because he was tremendous and played a major factor in this victory.
And missing games for him, this was something that he had not ever experienced in his Brown career so far. 2.5 seasons, he didn't miss any games. He barely missed any snaps.
Yeah, normally coming back off of a hamstring injury, you're very, very tentative that first game, but you didn't see any of that with him.
That defense, I mean, they've shown. They've shown against the Saints, they've shown against the Steelers, and they showed against another one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL against Atlanta. This is how that defense should play.
Well, when you look at it, too, another guy that I have to give a lot of credit to is T.J. Gaines. I mean, the corner.
TJ Carey.
Carey. You know who I'm thinking.
With your boy.
You know who I'm thinking.
Games on your mind,
I got games on my mind. But TJ Carey, I thought, had an outstanding game. He came and he filled in. And guys, I mean, we played this ball game with 2 corners that we just put on IR.
Right.
I mean, it was great. We got Randall back. I mean, but defense, I agree with you.
With a secondary like that, you guys know somebody like TJ Carey's got to step up, as banged up as they are.
Right, and he did. And at one point, I was like, do not poke the beast, because he was waving one finger to Julio Jones. I'm like, leave that guy alone. Let him stay suspect.
But, you know
to his credit, what did he do? He stepped up and performed admirably.
You know why he was waving that finger?
Why?
He knew he had a safety over top.
Listen, he did well against Julio Jones. Julio still got his. As a guy like Julio's going to get, he went over 100 yards.
He killed us, though.
He had that short touchdown. But you're right, he didn't go off. He didn't go off. And that's what you want out of TJ Carey. Coming up on the Browns Countdown, we get to our final thoughts and our keys to success for the rest of the season. That's next on the Browns Countdown, presented by Elk & Elk.
Mayfield under center. Play action fake. Baker back. Baker getting rushed. Baker rolls right, fires. Higgins up, caught in the end zone. Touchdown! Mayfield using his legs and his arm, and Higgins went up and came down with it.
Jon Doss, Hanford Dixon, Gerard Cherry, and I say this as somebody who played the game obviously at a very low level. Unless you played football, you don't know how difficult of a play that was for Baker Mayfield on the run against his body, 40 yards to a strike to Rashard Higgins. That's what has us salivating about Baker Mayfield.
Well, it was an outstanding play, and also we have to give Higgins a lot of credit too, because did you see him? He went up and he caught that ball at the highest point, and that's what you teach those
right,
guys.
and he also stayed alive in the route, because once you get flushed out as a quarterback, you're told to draw yourself back to the quarterback. So having the presence of mind to do that, that was good complimentary football. So these guys are on the right track for sure. So I was very impressed with that play, and it was very Brett Favre-esque what he threw.
You're right. And those comparisons continue to roll in, and for good reasons. Let's talk about our keys to success for the Browns for the remainder of the season. They got 6 games left. Hanford, you think they got to continue to play well, not just on the offensive side, not just on the defensive side. Special teams got to get involved too.
All 3 phases. I mean, you really have to. I mean, when you play the type of game that we played on defense, for instance, everybody showed up. When you watch this football on defense, it wasn't just one guy, it wasn't 2 guys, it was 3 guys, 4 guys attacking the football. Offensively, we were able to run the football. When you're able to run the football, that opens up everything else. And then also special teams. Keep playing well in special teams.
And you look at a game like that against Atlanta and you say, well, the offense played really well, the defense played really well. What about the special teams? A lot of times special teams playing well means we just don't talk about them, because it means they just didn't screw up, which the Browns have done. Gerard, you got to identify the core players the rest of the season.
Exactly. Who is going to be the nucleus? Who are going to be the team captains moving forward? There's a lot of team football left to play. But here's the deal. If you don't make it to the playoffs, who are the guys that you're going to be counting on next year to lead this team to a new place and time in which you are a consistent winner? So right now is the opportunity to do that. They remember what you do in the last few games, not the first few games.
It is all about momentum right now for the Cleveland Browns.
And we have that
all
right
about
now.
Momentum.
We have it going, and let's keep it going in the right direction.
It starts next week.
Exactly.
On the road at Cincinnati. Not just a road game.
The Hugh Bowl
but
is
a
what I'm
divisional appearance or a divisional matchup against the team that now has your former head coach on its staff.
Going on record right now, I am picking the Browns to beat the Bengals.
Hanford's back. All right, for Gerard Cherry, Hanford Dixon, I'm Jon Doss. Thanks so much for watching the Browns Countdown. We are back at it next week. Browns on the road in Cincinnati. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the bye week.